Hey, good evening, everybody. Hello, 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 hello. Hi.
Hi.
We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order, get going tonight. So welcome those of you who are here with us in the audience. I appreciate your presence. I'm Dr. Stephen Holt, and I get a chance to facilitate our meeting for the Northeast Community Development Initiatives Oversight Committee, because we just don't have enough words to go into that. We've got some people that are on the phone line tonight, and we want to make sure that we identify you as well so that we capture who you are. And I'm going to ask you to begin, those who are on the phone, if you would identify yourself.
Karen Ward. Karen Ward.
Karen Ward, welcome.
Haben Roby.
Hi, Haben. Welcome.
Hi. Trina Whitman with Bridge Housing.
Welcome, Tina. Now, is there anyone else present, especially from the Oversight Committee? All right. And so now we're going to identify the Oversight Committee members. And we'll begin just to my left and go on around.
Gwen Thompson.
Jonisha Smith.
Leisha Posey.
Dorsey Johnson.
Maurice Ronning.
Jennifer Huang.
Welcome. So tonight is a meeting that's open to the public. It is not a public meeting. Those of you who've been to these, you have an idea of what that means. What that means is you have the opportunity to hear about and to be kind of firsthand on the work that the Oversight Committee is working through. Hopefully, you've got a packet of information which is right outside the door, which gives you the agenda for the night and all of the information that we're going to be working through. There is a moment in this meeting where there'll be an opportunity for public testimony. And our request is that you engage and interact around the items that are on the agenda. However, you are free to speak to anything that's pertaining to the work of the Oversight Committee. There are people here tonight that, if it is an item that isn't on the agenda, there are individuals here who work for Prosper Portland who may be able to assist you with more clarity. So I'm going to ask all of the Prosper Portland staff to identify yourself, raise your hand or something so people know who you are. Wonderful. That being stated, again, welcome to our meeting number 13, hard to believe. And we are going to go to our minutes and Chair Leisha Posey.
Sure, thank you. So everyone should have in front of them a draft copy of our meeting minutes from April 19th. If you could take a moment to read over those, just to see if you see any discrepancies. Any questions about anything on the meeting minutes? All right, if you're all in agreement that they look good, just hold up your green card and we will move forward. Perfect, thank you.
All right, minutes have been reviewed and approved. We will now move on to item number 3, which is the Oversight Committee housekeeping. Decision-making summary. Kimberly Moore.
Good evening, everyone.
First, I want to say thank you for your commitment to the Oversight Committee. It's so nice to see a full table. Um, and I want to briefly just talk about the decision-making summary. It's a tool that was inspired by Alicia to kind of help us track our decisions that we make as we do the work. And so it's pretty much a matrix that outlines all the decisions, and it also identifies the members who was present during that evening to make the decision, as well as describe the action that was taken. I will make sure that you guys have a copy. I think I sent a sample out in the email, but I'll make sure you get a copy tonight before you leave of what that document looks like. Next, I just wanted to talk about another tool that we created to help with the flow is a Google Drive of documents that most of them are available for the public, but a few documents are just for you guys, and including the decision-making summary. And so Yvonne has created a Google Drive that you guys should have received a link. And if you haven't, please let me know, and Yvonne and I will make sure that you will get a link to those documents. And Yvonne, I know at one time we had talked about maybe going through that process and help, but I'm not, because we kind of switched locations, we don't have the projector ready. But at the next meeting, we'll make sure that we do a little demonstration so you can see the documents that are in the Google Drive and how to access those. Any questions?
Yeah, can I make a suggestion that you just send that email link out again and spell it out that that's what it is for those of us who may not have recognized that it was the Google Doc as a separate email from anything else that you send out?
Did you want to add anything?
I just shared the link with you.
I just shared the link with you guys, but because there's personal contact information, I didn't want to make it accessible to everybody. So let me know if you have any problems.
Okay, thank you.
I want to thank Yvonne for her hard work on making that happen. Yeah. Thank you.
Before you disappear, any other questions from the Oversight Committee? Okay, thank you very much. We're going to move right in then to report outs. We will begin with the investment allocation. I did not hear Karis on the line, so we will begin with investment allocation. Haben, if you'd bring us up to speed.
Okay. The Investment Reallocation Committee Subcommittee met twice. One on a Friday morning at 7:30.
Can't hardly hear that.
And then we had a follow-up meeting yesterday at 3:30. The intent of the first meeting, the people that were present were Maurice, Lisa, myself, and Oscar from the committee. And we had 2 community members that were present, and then Kimberly from Prosper Portland staff. And we discussed how we could change some of the loan buckets into grants. And so we decided we were going to follow up by scheduling a meeting with the loan officers to figure out what would it entail to change those into grants versus loans as they stand, because we didn't see that any of the loans were funded to date or used to date. So we were trying to figure out what were the barriers for people getting the loans. So we asked Kimberly to provide us with documentation that we were able to look over before we met with the lending officers. Yesterday was the meeting at 3:30. Unfortunately, yesterday the meeting did not go as planned, in my opinion. Oscar, myself, and Conley joined us via phone from the Oversight Committee. But before we showed up at the meeting, I guess Karanja and a couple other concerned members of the community had met with Kimberly. I'm sorry, I don't remember her last name, the Executive Director of Prosper Portland, to talk about changing loans into grants. So it became more of a hashing of frustration of the community on why that is important to change them into grants as opposed to asking all the questions that we had to the loan officer that was present, who was Kay. But we came out of the meeting, Oscar suggested that, and I seconded it, that we need to meet with Bobby, who's the Director of Economic Development, before our June meeting to further discuss the investment allocation plans going forward. So that's kind of where we left it. There's still a lot of work to be done. Personally, I feel like we're going around in circles. We've had several meetings, and I feel like we never really do make much progress except set up more meetings and more meetings. So my hope is between now and the June meeting, we can have concrete answers to bring back to the whole committee.
Thank you, Haben. Questions from any of the committee members?
Is there a way that we can get answers ahead of the meeting so that we're not discussing what the reasons why at the meeting, but we actually have some information prior to the meeting to be able to discuss and articulate our opinions and views ahead of the meeting rather than getting it day of?
Kimber, would you come to?
Is this question directed towards the subcommittee meetings that we have been having?
Yeah, whether the subcommittee can get the information sooner and then provide the entire committee the information sooner so that it's not the day of and day of, because I think what's happening is because we're not getting all the information pretty immediately or at least ahead of meetings, the meetings tend to get bogged down in discussion, and then there's not a resolution at those subcommittee meetings, and then there's not a resolution at the main meeting.
We'll try as much
Yeah.
as possible to get that information out to you before, in a reasonable time.
Thank you.
I also think these meetings are open to the public, and as much as we welcome anyone to come to those meetings, I think oftentimes we're kind of getting off track of what the purpose of our meetings are, and we're more, it's just like we're getting off track of what the purpose of the subcommittee is and what we're trying to do. Yesterday, I felt like, we're taking time off from our day, whatever we have going on, to come to these meetings. And I think my expectation, at least, is that these meetings, we walk away getting the answers that we want, and it's very efficient. And for me, I love hearing the community's feedback, but I think that there's a different forum for that, and our subcommittee meetings should not be. If we have a very specific reason that we're calling these meetings and we're inviting people to ask questions, then that's what it should be. And so it was. It's hard. I feel like the subcommittee is not delivering, or we're not getting where we need to be quickly because of all these different meetings that are not focused on what we're trying to get at, and we are addressing other issues. So I think my expectation, at least for the next couple meetings before our June meeting, is that we are more focused on exactly what we are doing. We don't want to waste anyone's time, and we want to get to the root of the issue and then get some concrete answers, which we never seem to have. It's always like, oh, let's meet with these people next. Let's meet with these people next. Yes.
Yeah, I understand your frustration, and I think a lot of it is the way that we facilitate the subcommittee meetings and allow for public comments. And while it is a public meeting, it is a like you said, we're meeting for a specific purpose, and oftentimes when you add new voices, you have to start from the beginning, and so, and you have to make it, inform them of the progress, and so I think it's going to be necessary that we facilitate those meetings to provide for public comments, but make sure that we're focused on the task at hand.
Thank you very much. Chair Posey.
I was just going to say that I agree. You can't see me hopping, but I'm waving my green card to agree that we do need to set those meetings up where community members are able to observe and we have a period of time where they are able to give comment. But in order for the subcommittee members to get the work done that we are meeting to accomplish, we need to limit that interaction at those meetings. So I agree.
Okay.
More-
Thank you. I'm glad. Yeah, like yesterday was just, yeah, it was a lot of, I understood the reason. I mean, people need an outlet and we need to speak about these issues and they're important. That's why we're on this committee. But at the same time, I think maybe yesterday after I got home, I was thinking maybe we need to have, just like we have a set agenda for our committee, like those larger committee meetings, we need to have a set agenda typed up for the subcommittee meeting, just to make it more formal and give room for public comment towards the end or something like that.
Agreed. Maurice, your comment.
I have a question for you, Haben. Was the frustration due to the lack of our ability to deploy the funds to date, or was more the frustration the direction in which they felt the committee was going?
No, there was no frustration. I think it's the fact that it's loans versus grants, and that doesn't agree with the mission of the $32 million, which is to for economic empowerment of people of color and specifically African Americans. So it doesn't address that. So there was a couple of people from the community that spoke to that effect. But at the same time, yesterday's meeting was specifically to talk to the loan officers and get information. And if we have to go to Kimberly, the executive director, so that we have all our ducks in a row, and then we go to her and say, hey, there's the community wants this change into grants. We've talked to your loan officers. This is definitely feasible. What can we do to change this? That was how I think we were working towards it. And that's not how, yesterday kind of worked out.
Well, if we can spend some moments, here's a thought, spend some moments to think through how we set agendas together around subcommittees. And I will certainly support that so that there's consistency and continuity with how all the meetings are run, so we can reduce that as an issue. Shanisha.
My concern is that when you talk about the setting the agendas and everything, I'm always concerned about how the community is, what type of ways that the community is going to be enlightened about the availability of funding and a lot of other things. I don't think the community knows half of what is going on. And it's like, how are you going to bring the community into the fold so they have input to be able to, that there's awareness that there is funding that is available, and because this community is kind of still not at the table, and so I think that has to be part of the agenda as well.
And we do understand that we need to improve our communication strategy,
Oh,
and that's something that we're considering in as we broaden our communication strategy, that we provide, ample opportunities for community members to participate. And a lot of it, one of the ways is to give people more notice about this meeting and make them aware that this meeting is happening, so that we can have, public comments, at this meeting. And we do publicize our subcommittee meetings, and we're not saying that they don't have input or a voice at those subcommittee meetings, but we just want to have providing in a more efficient way so that we can move forward in the work, so we can, create strategies to better serve our community members. And so, but we are working hard to kind of come up with a strategy uh, to notify community members. And we're hoping to get our community outreach subcommittee going soon. And we hope, so in the next week or so, we want to have that meeting so we can start working with Prosper Portland staff to create our strategy and implement our strategy.
And just to speak one more thing on the investment allocation subcommittee, the whole intent and purpose of the subcommittee when we formed that subcommittee is for us to understand the breakdowns of the numbers and get more information from the staff and bring it back to the larger committee to help in the understanding, because our large committee meetings, these meetings don't enable us to dig into the numbers so much. So the whole intent and purpose of the investment reallocation subcommittee is to dig into those numbers, bring that information to the larger committee and also to the community in little doses that is very digestible and easy to understand. That was the purpose. I feel like we've kind of deviated from that, and my hope is that we go back to that and work to get a better understanding of the numbers, because I feel like even as committee members, we don't understand the numbers and what's going on oftentimes because there's lack of transparency and information sharing.
Kim, my question around the outreach strategy is if you have something in place right now, absent of our subcommittee forming, does Prosper Portland already have a strategy in place as of now? And if so, if you can share that with us, so that we, as the outreach committee forms, we're aware of already what's in place, and what that's looked like and how that's been received and how people are responding to that, so that when we go into that first meeting, we have that information. It's kind of speaking to what Maurice was talking about, of having information ahead of time, so we have an opportunity to react to it. So yeah, that's what my ask would be of the staff.
Yeah, I would love to do that because it's not really much of a strategy as it is things that we do as an agency to get the word out. And what I'm looking forward with the subcommittee is actually developing that strategy, working with you guys to come up with a strategy specifically for North-Northeast CDI. We have a Facebook page now. We have a Twitter handle now. We're talking to organizations and partners about providing information about our meetings and their newsletters, and buying a banner ad with MISO newsletter because they reach 3,000 people. So we're, it's in the top of our mind, but we need to, I don't want to get ahead of the subcommittee. And so that's why I want to, meet with you guys, and I can provide you with an update about the things that we're doing. The communique is another outreach tool that we inform people about our meetings and other things that's happening in the interstate corridor urban renewal area. But we really need to have that meeting. And we don't have a lead for the community outreach committee, but I'm going to go ahead and just set the first meeting, and then maybe somebody will step up and become the lead for that subcommittee.
I would just encourage you to move forward with the typical or normal strategies that Prosper Portland would use for any project, because we're at capacity right now. We haven't had anybody to step up, and to Ms. Smith's point, the community, is not getting the information. And so we're a year in, and some of us feel as if the folks we talk to on a day-to-day basis, they don't know about the opportunities being offered. And so I hear you not wanting to get ahead of us, but at the same time, there has to be some balance of us being able to get this information out there so that folks know about it, and not incumbent upon this a subcommittee formed out of this committee to do so. We would want to enhance anything that you're already doing, maybe bring any ideas to something that you're already doing, but at this point, I think that we need to move forward with whatever Prosper Portland would typically do in this situation around outreach, so that we are not holding off until a subcommittee is formed here.
Okay.
So that would be my request, is that you guys move forward with whatever
And
you
we
have.
we are looking at collateral. We're going to actually have a meeting next week where we're designing collateral similar to your program at BPS,
Okay.
where we can leave that at MISO, leave it at PBS, different places where I was talking to Dr. Holtz about helping us outreach to the faith community, which MISO is having tremendous success with. And so I've been having these conversations and we're moving forward.
Right.
And so,
Any other voices of the committee? All right, thank you. I heard the phone chime. Was Karis, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Karis, welcome.
Hello.
We will go to you for your report out on the project working group.
I'm sorry. I actually do not have a report. I had a report from the last meeting, but I don't know if it was distributed.
If you could repeat that, you're just on the agenda for the report out.
I don't have a new report for today.
Thank you very much. No new update. Let's go to A3 for the project charter and Maurice Rami.
The project charter, our favorite topic. There's no real new revisions to the project charter except for two items that you guys seen from last month. If you remember, I asked to hold off on voting for it until we were able to review it. This committee did meet. If you go on to page 6 of the project charter, it basically is, in the event of a tie vote, a decision will be delayed until all members can participate in the vote. So that was something that came up in our group. What if we have a tie? There's 11 members right now, so we're basically saying, all of us have to participate in order to break that tie. The second part of the only other change that you all haven't seen is on page 9. And this is one that says the project charter will be reviewed for the most part in January unless we have a unanimous decision to change the charter. And the reason why that's there is because what we don't want to do is keep revisiting this charter month after month and then having multiple charters that no one really knows about. So what we want to make sure is that if we feel like there's an issue that needs to be changed ahead of January, we all have to agree that that change needs to happen now. Either that or we wait till January, and then we all review the charter and make changes at that point. At this point, I'll take any questions. All right, thank you.
I have a question for staff. The number 11 that we have for people on the committee, were you able to verify that today at all? How many people we actually have seated right now?
oh, it's 12.
It is 12. So does that affect the number 11 that we have in here? Do we have to change it, or can we keep it at 11? We can keep it at 11?
You need to make it down to 11.
You're
You
right.
can accept that as,
You want to push the button?
excuse me.
It won't. Oh, there we go. It was popping off.
So yes, if you adopt the charter number at 11 and then you are currently at 12, it means that someone will need to step aside.
And what if someone decides to step aside in 3 months? If we change it to 12 and someone decides to step aside in 3 months, then we can just operate with 11 people, even though the charter says 12, or do we have to fill that 12th spot?
It is 11 now, correct?
Right.
It would say 11 if we vote on it tonight.
Yes, ma'am. I apologize, Madam Chair. Could you restate your question?
So my question is, we have 12 people on, that Kim says she's tabulated, that we have 12 actual seated members today. If we vote this number in at 11, you said someone needs to step down. If we were to change tonight the number to 12 and vote that in at 12 tonight, and someone chooses to step down in 3 months, or a month, or whatever, 6 months, do we have to redo the charter, or do we just say that we are operating with those 11 people? And/or do we have to fill that vacant spot to be back up to 12?
To keep ourselves immune from challenge, we would indeed need to amend the charter. I think this is what Maurice's point on, once a year review was about, so that we weren't coming back to revisit the charter. But yes, so that does make that a little difficult now when we have 12 and we're trying to get it down to 11. So I'm not sure if that's been discussed amongst the committee or how that will get worked out. Of course, that was all meant to provide for an easier quorum, to allow the meetings to move forward. The other thing that I would suggest is that if we were to leave it at 12, it's an even number, which sort of invites ties, which was another issue that Maurice had brought up in the redraft here to try and avoid that, to kind of focus on the substance. But yes, ma'am, if we said 12, then we would need to reseat another member.
One moment before we continue. For those who are on the phone, please mute your phones when you are not engaging. That will help with our ability to hear one another and to hear you when you're speaking. Thank you very much. Maurice.
So what would your recommendation be to correct this dilemma?
Which dilemma, sir?
The tie.
I think that your move to 11 was the correct way to fix this. The one thing I was unaware of is that we were sitting at 12 sitting members, which I do understand creates, a human problem. Who's the 12th person? But in terms of technical recommendation, I do recommend that you keep it at an odd number and stay with the formulation that you've developed of, having to have one review in January, unanimous vote in case of a tie, and that fixes that. So I do apologize that puts sort of the human burden on the committee, but that's the easiest way to move forward with the work and avoid the issue of ties. I doubt that you would have them, but that's the technical answer.
Thoughts from the Oversight Committee?
So go ahead, Michael.
Well, just saying, even if we have 12, what's wrong with alternates?
There's nothing wrong with alternates. It's not.
Volunteer thing.
Pardon me, sir.
We had that discussion at our last meeting, and we decided to not have alternates. It was kind of tied to our decision not to have proxies, because proxies were non-voting members, and so we decided not to have alternates. But we could either go up to 13. I would hate, and I know we're trying to avoid.
I think the challenge, though, is that we're having a problem with people being committed to showing up at the meetings. And so we flipped back and forth on how many people would constitute the committee. And we got down to at least 11 committed people who have been showing up consistently. And so I guess I'm hesitant to go back up to 12 or 13, because then that increases our quorum, the need to have 9 for a quorum, or 8 for a quorum. So I don't want to have to table this again. Any other suggestions?
Yeah, so this is basically what I'm saying is because I'm gonna be one of them ones that, might can't attend at this time. So, but that don't mean I'm not gonna keep up. You know, that don't mean I'm not gonna keep up. So just calling on a person in case another person, especially with this voting and all that, because, hey, we've been wrangling with this stuff for, I mean, my head is spinning now, because I'm still thinking we still trying to figure out what our committee is about.
So,
Shanisha. We'll come to the phone in just a second. Shanisha?
Okay, my question is, and we might have already tabled this, and
Are
I
you
might, I think I am on, it's blue.
Okay, perfect.
Did we decide that we were not going to deal with proxies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Cannot do proxies.
that's off the table completely.
Yeah.
Okay. So what brother said about alternates, what does that look like? Is that the same as a
It
proxy?
would be, it wouldn't help us with this situation right here of determining how many people are going to constitute our committee as seated members, and the commitment to showing up at all meetings.
Okay.
Well, let that be said again. I'm gonna be one of them that I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to step down, which I don't want to, but I'm going on a swing shift, and I'm not gonna be able to be here, but that don't mean I'm not gonna keep up, because I'm gonna have somebody in the audience, you know, especially, you know.
and if Michael does
It's
step
not
down,
to lose the chair lady. She's perfect.
if Michael does step down, that would be 11 seated members, and that would fulfill the number in the project charter, but I still think we need to make room for Michael. And in the subcommittee work is open, to, or we can make room to have
I'm only
these
gonna do it
involved.
if I'm forced to. It's, you know, I'm not gonna say, because if I volunteer for something, I'm gonna stick with it.
Let's go to the phone. Please state your name and then your comment.
Okay, this is Robin.
Haben, would you do me a favor? Make sure that your mouth is by the phone or close to it, so, because it's fading in and out. Thank you.
Can you hear me better now?
Much.
Much better.
Okay. Good. Sorry, I have such a light voice. Anyways, my comment is, I agree that it's been really challenging to get all of us together, right? But at the same time, we've been talking about maybe doing a recommitment of getting a consensus on people where they're at and recommitting. And the only reason I'm pro 13, going to 13 is because I feel like for the subcommittee work, we're spread too thin. If we have more people, then we have more people in subcommittees, and we can do different, we can utilize everyone. So I'm leaning more towards actually having 13. And just, if there's members that are not showing up, finding out what's the cause and figuring out what we can do to help them be there might be the way to go.
Yeah, I have to disagree with going up to 13. We did an open call, and we got Gwen out of that. We received Herschel out of that, and he had to step down immediately after accepting. We've had at least 4 other people step down from serving on the committee. I feel like 11 committed people are better than 13, 15, where we have 5 or 4 people that are iffy and sometimey. Right, so if we have the 11 committed people that I think that we have here, everyone at this table and those on the phone are the ones that have been showing up consistently, I think that we can move forward with a strong group of 11 people. I'm hearing what it sounds like Michael's saying, that he might
Hey,
be stepping down.
Exactly. It's not that I don't want to. It's I'm not going to be able to do none of these things these tools that you've given us. I can't call on the phone and be talking to you on the phone
Right,
while I'm
right,
doing trucks. I
right.
can't be. So, hey, what I'm trying to do is save my position. Basically, it's saying, hey, save my position. I'm gonna keep up with everything, but you know, things change.
So, and I hate to make it more complicated, but I'm going to. We could always say, in the event that there is a tie, um, the chairs rotate the tie-breaking decision in this so that we're not feeling like we're pushing anyone out. If we end up with 11, then that never occurs. If we end up with a tie, then one chair makes a decision to break the tie, then the following tie, the next chair makes a decision because we are co-chaired as well.
This is Robin on the phone. Maurice, I like your suggestion, but I would like to say, how about the tiebreaker is made by the chair? Let's not complicate and say the chair takes turns. Let's just Leisha can be the tiebreaker.
That's fine with me too.
Okay, Dorsey has her
Yeah,
name
so are you
or card up.
so are you recommending that we move it to 12? And that way, because I feel like we're talking about two different.
What I'm saying is I think we leave it the same and we just don't fill the 12th position so that we're not feeling like we're pushing someone out. But in the event that we happen to pick up a 12th person that really wants to serve on this committee, then the chair is the deciding tiebreaker if we hit a tie.
Well, yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
Maurice.
sorry, go ahead.
And that's what you just call them an alternate. What is the difference? You call them an alternate.
Michael,
And right now, we have 12.
if you could do me the favor, I don't know where your name tin is. Somebody could grab his name
not
tin.
out
It's not out there?
Have 12.
Okay. So when you're ready to share something, if you just hold this up, that way we can keep order. I'd appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much. Dorsey, were you finished with your comment or your question?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Leisha, you were about to say, did you want to weigh in?
So the co-chairs are the same, right? If you're co-chairs, there's no chair, and they're the same.
Well, Maurice is saying can be made to work, but my advice is that it's overcomplicating the matter. Not, your idea is smart and correct, Maurice, but then how do we switch between, who's the chair at any one given time, and what if one isn't there? So we can make that work, but I'm seeking to try and find a way to not, to allow you to move your work forward rather than have it be charter focused. The substance of your work is so much more important than, getting these technicalities done. And we just need to know a decision on how you finally want it, and we'll get that drawn up for you. But you are not going to be able to satisfy everybody's desire for inclusion, as well as being able to keep an efficient committee structure together. It's just a difficult thing in public process.
And I agree with that. The challenge is we have two co-chairs, so we don't have a single chair unless we change the language in there to say chair, and then at that point, thanks Haben for saying that she's willing to pass that vote. I think this is a really minor issue. I don't think that we're going to actually have this problem of running into ties a lot. So I would even say to scratch the language. I mentioned this in the subcommittee, scratch it and then have us all address it when it gets to that point, because I don't think that we're ever going to get to that point where we're all divided in such a way that we're going to have consistent ties.
Understood, sir?
Co-chair, Leisha, and then to Michael.
So then are you suggesting that we change the number to 12 and then scratch the language on voted ties? Okay.
Well, I say this is why we're having that problem. Is just what the gentleman said. Well, odd number, unless you have a chairperson instead of two co-chair people, you're not going to solve anything. This is why we're running around the same circle.
Okay, so I think I would make the suggestion that we consider scratching the language around voting, breaking ties, change the number to 12. If a situation comes up, we can all agree to change the charter to meet that vote, that problem at that time.
I'm
You stop me
listening,
if
ma'am.
I'm wrong, when I'm saying something wrong. And if someone steps down and then we have 11 seated people, we have an opportunity to get a 12th person and/or meet as a committee to vote to change the number to 11.
And your charter already does allow you to operate without a full committee. You know,
All right.
at that point, it's just
Okay.
a majority of a seated quorum. So Maurice is correct. The only time it'll be a practical issue is if it did come to a straight tie. And in which case, that might delay us for a meeting while we fix that. But if that makes the committee feel better and more inclusive and everybody, you know, not having to make a choice or somebody step down, we can make that work. It's going to take a little work. It'll
Just-
take till the next meeting.
And just to clarify to Michael, you are not saying you are stepping down.
I'm not saying that at all. It
Okay.
seems like I'm more fighting for that because I'm not gonna never step down on nothing that I volunteered for.
Okay.
That ain't what I'm saying. I'm gonna have to, you know, leave because I'm doing a different, my life is fixing to
Yeah,
change.
got you. Okay.
And just on that part, it's economics part of, on that part.
Well, is
Other
it
than
possible?
that, excuse me?
Pardon me, I didn't mean to interrupt you, sir.
No, you didn't.
I just wonder then if your involvement, and this is the will of the committee, not at all, but I'm just trying to think through how, you know, you get to your substance and pass the charter. And if your issue, sir, is to make sure that you maintain involvement and, you know, get the information that's going on, that can happen also without sitting fully on the
Well,
committee, because what I hear you saying is life circumstances are going to make it difficult for you to commit on a consistent basis. And if we can solve both those problems or address both those issues at one time, that might make it easier for the committee.
Right, and I said that because I missed the last meeting because of that. So, going forward, I'm pretty sure, I don't know when, but until then, I'm gonna let them know when I'm not gonna be here. But I'm thinking the odd number to get things solved, I think we've been talking about this same thing like for months. You know, and I don't.
say that my concern, and it's been an issue, is consistency. I mean, that's been the main thing, that can we go forward and at least have some form of consistency? And if we can't do that, then we have to look at our numbers. You know, we have to. And if it's going to take more consistency and more to put more numbers down there, then I'm with Alicia that maybe we should stick to 11. But I do understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that the consistency is the key.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Dorsey. Oh, Maurice.
We do have consistency addressed in the charter, so there's language around that, so I think that would help. But the thing is, we need to approve the charter in order to have that consistency. So that is the reason why I'm suggesting we scratch the language for the voting rules so that then we can apply the charter and address ties later, because no one's talking about, we keep getting into ties and we need to break the ties. What we're talking about is we need consistency in this committee, which that's what the charter addresses, but we aren't implementing the charter every time we change it. And it reboots the charter every time we vote on a new charter. So we need to address this issue. So what I would say is scratching the language for now and voting on this charter so that we can have the consistency we need to do the work that we are all asked to do.
I just think sometimes we're getting a little bit stuck.
Yes, and I just feel like, if, and not to like direct it towards Michael,
But he can direct it.
not to direct it towards, but like if someone's unable to commit to every third Thursday, either calling or being present, then they need to step down. Because, you know what I mean? Like, then we're come to a problem where we don't have enough members, or now we have to go back to the subcommittee to find another member. So it's like, as much as, you may want to be on the committee and the work is important to you, but if your life is not allowing you to do so, then for the committee's sake, we need to step down, and so we can move forward.
And can I say something? I love that comment. And you know what? And Dorsey, thank you. Because I will step down, but I'm going to be on the other end of the issue, but I'm still going to follow. That's all I was saying. I didn't want to be kicked out because I didn't call in.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, thank you very much.
I'm going from construction to something different.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comment
So
on
I'll
the
step
phone?
down officially as of tonight.
Well, I'm not trying
No. You. Hey. You bring it all to light because I promised the chair lady that I was going to stick by her no matter what. No matter what.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
I
Felicia?
appreciate your commitment, but I also appreciate you putting the desires and the work of the overall committee above any personal desires and being willing to step down tonight. Like Kimberly said, you're still welcome to attend these meetings and the subcommittee meetings and being involved, and you know for sure that I'm going to always send you the information that I receive, so
Well,
you'll
I
be in
know
the
that.
loop.
Even, and thanks everybody, but I was going to keep up anyway because I got stuff in the audience that I'm not going to, reveal myself.
So I suggest that we move forward with voting in the charter as is tonight, right now, before
Okay.
anything else comes up.
All right. So let's go through that very keen process we created. So those who are here, Oversight Committee members, you will raise your card, green meaning yes, red meaning no, or green meaning I voted in, or red meaning that we don't. Who will capture the count? I guess I could. If you're in favor, raise your green card. Okay, 100% of those who are present. Haben, are you in favor of voting in the charter as it stands? Yes or no?
In favor.
Okay, thank you. Karis, are you still there?
Sorry, this is Con. I'm in favor also.
Oh, Con, how are you?
Doing okay, thanks.
Excellent, excellent. Con, are you in favor of voting in the charter as it stands? We lost you. Yes, no?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Karis, are you still there? We lost Karis, but we have a quorum. The charter is, oh, and Karen. Thank you, Karen.
I'm here, yes, I vote yes.
Thank you very much. Is there any other Oversight Committee member online tonight? Wonderful. Well, then, the charter has passed. Yay!
Congratulations, committee.
Congratulations. And so we've actually accomplished two things. That's voting on the revised charter, and there's now no need to vote to reduce the number from 15 to 11 because it's in the charter already. So you have an official 11-member committee. Excellent. Thank you very much. We're still ahead of time, believe it or not. And we have a partner presentation from MISO. I'm going to ask you to identify yourselves. Go ahead, come on, have a seat. Nobody's going to bite you yet.
Are you sure?
Nah, I'm not making promises, but not right away. The biting might come later. Please introduce yourselves.
My name is Felicia Wells Thomas, and I work at MISO, Micro Enterprise Services of Oregon.
I'm Morgan Masterman, and I'm a Prosper Portland staff member. I manage our Inclusive Business Resource Network. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So last fall, we presented to you guys about the concept of a North-Northeast navigator, and the goal of that project was really to provide outreach and business advising navigation services to businesses, particularly focusing on the North and Northeast area, as well as African Americans throughout the city of Portland. We asked you guys to provide feedback, and you reviewed the request for proposals for us, and many of you sat on our selection committee, and MISO was selected to provide those services. And Felicia is the business navigator that's implementing the contract for us. She's going to be sharing in a few minutes with you about some of the work that she's done over the last 9 months. And just to kind of remind you, the scope of their work is really to perform outreach focused in and around North and Northeast Portland, and focusing on connecting with the African American community, connecting with approximately 100 businesses, conducting business assessments, like needs assessments, and providing up to 10 hours of business support, and making referrals to additional resources that businesses can access through our Inclusive Business Resource Network and through other organizations throughout the city.
Hello.
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt you. Again, those who are on the phone, would you please make sure that your phone is muted while you're not speaking? Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. That's the first thing that I wanted to say was thank you for being on the committee and selecting MISO. We've been working really hard. We have outdone ourselves. I've been working at MISO for almost 10 years. Our mission statement is to provide economic opportunities to underrepresented individuals through education, empowerment, and entrepreneurship for the greater good of the community. We have been working since September of 2016, and at this point, we've worked with over 140 businesses of color, and more than 50% of them have been African American, and we're very proud of that. We work really, really hard. The outreach methods that I've been using have been, and this is just a few of the things that I've been doing, is going to different churches. I don't care where it is, really, to be honest. My job is always on looking for entrepreneurs. But word of mouth is really big. We've been in the community for quite some time, and now we're seeing the results of that. Marketplaces, we'll go to marketplaces and tell them about the programs. Nonprofit organizations, we have a really good connection with PCRI, Portland Community Reinvestment Initiative, Portland Housing Center. It's just been quite a few places, but these are just a few places that I go out and do outreach, and we've been really successful with it. Anything else? Would you like to ask any questions?
Any questions?
Maurice.
Well, this is probably less of a question and more of a statement that I'm extremely impressed at what MISO does and how much they provide for the community. One of the things, I guess, is how can we better help support MISO? I know that we've passed this grant to help you along, but the amount of technical assistance that you provide to these small businesses is just extremely impressive. And so whether or not the city's following lead in supporting me, so I realize you guys do a lot of work with a very small budget. And so how, as a committee, can we help further your cause, because it is a good one?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say, money. I mean, that would help a lot. We are, because it's just really me that is doing the navigating. However, we do have people in the office that also help because I can't do it alone. And with the network, we are helping each other, trying to get all of these clients in the right places. So I would say, first of all, money and just support and continuing to say nice things like that. Okay, and to the right people.
My question would be, Felicia, for you. Have you had anyone ask you specifically about the money or the opportunities within this action plan and how they may access it? Or have you had the opportunity to talk about this action plan with any of your clients that you may be bringing up on your own? I'm just wondering how we may be able to support the outreach that you're doing, if we can learn anything from the outreach that you're doing to help us with our plan that's coming up, but also just to see how many, kind of give me a gauge on how many people actually are aware of it when they come into your office, if by chance they are aware of it.
So you're asking me how do
Do
people
you
come
hear,
in?
do they come in and talk about the action plan? Have you had conversations around it? Okay.
No.
And so do you think that there are opportunities where our subcommittee, our outreach subcommittee and/or Prosper Portland would be able to use either the experience or the resources or the knowledge that MISO has? How can we better equip you to share the information and/or how you might be able to tell us what you need to do that yourself?
Well, I think that it may be a good idea, and Kimberly and Morgan came, and they were talking about what could they do. And we thought about that, and it might be a good idea to have some of you out talking about it as well.
Coming to MISO to talk about it, or?
Not necessarily MISO, because we got that, but out in your communities where you see potential people that are entrepreneurs, you talking about the program.
Talking about the action plan.
Right,
to me.
exactly.
But do you see opportunities at MISO would be talking about it or no?
Do I see opportunities? Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Is there anything that you need from our committee to support MISO in making sure that the businesses that you work with know about the action plan and the opportunities to access funds through this action plan?
Well, that's what I was saying, is that you speaking out as well in your places of business, just letting other people know.
If I could get you to lean into the mic.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Yes, just letting other people know that you know about the program. Because it's a lot of people that don't know about this program. And the only way that they really know about it is when they come in to just MISO.
We also talked last time we met about possibly having a flyer, a real brief flyer about the action plan. They do have I think you have a couple copies at your office.
And
but
we
it's
put
such a
out the initiative.
Yeah,
And
on their
start
front
putting
table.
those out. And maybe just putting them out in churches and different places for people to know, because the Northeast, a lot of people don't know about it.
Yeah, I was,
Gwen, and then Shanisha. Gwen?
Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
I was curious if you have an outreach method or if you're working with any colleges or educational organizations or institutions to do one of two things. One, to let them know about your organization, or to work with maybe some paraprofessionals or students who might be willing to assist with micro enterprise businesses.
And we do. We work with PCC a lot, SBDC. We refer a lot of our clients to SBDC, as well as going and talking to PCC, the Metropolitan Workforce Training. We've had a lot of success with them as well. Let's see. PSU, of course. We have a good standing relationship with the business department, as well as TRIO. Right now, we have one of the students that she's working. At first, she was just doing volunteer work. And I ended up telling her about the Summer Works program, and she was able to work there for pay, which was great. Loretta Smith started that. And now she's full-time working with us. Part-time.
I think it's right. It's already on. Welcome, both of you. Felicia, I was wondering what type of awareness campaigns are you putting through to make the community aware that you exist? I didn't even know that you existed.
Really?
And yeah, and so, it sounds like it's a very good thing. So you're in line for some of the financial distribution of the money that's going to be put out? They've already received it, okay.
Exactly.
Okay, and so is there some sort of awareness campaign that you're doing right now that the community is aware that you exist?
Well, we do the best we can. Just like I was saying, we go to different organizations and talk about the navigation program, and then they come in, and then that's when we start the program, the assessment. It's called the One Stop. So that's some of the things that we do. But it would be great to get more people knowing about the program. But we're working hard trying to get more and more people in, and especially people of color.
I would just add to that part of the Inclusive Business Resource Network, which MISO is excuse me, MISO is a part of. The network as a whole is a group of about 15 organizations in the city who offer various types of business advising, from supporting startups to micro enterprises and growing small businesses. And part of the work that we're doing is really around developing this community of practice. So we're bringing all of the nonprofit folks together on a very regular basis and using the network as a way to elevate the conversation of each of the individual organizations. So we're trying to really make folks in the community aware of all of the services, including the specific program that Felicia runs. But it's been I think something that we recognize, like we need to definitely promote the specific services more and make sure that we're getting out into the right communities and connecting with the right folks so that they know the resources are available.
That sounds amazing. What method are you using to bring these businesses together? Are they meeting once a month? Is it an environment where maybe some of us could attend those as well?
Yeah, we do. We have monthly network meetings. We actually had one this morning. It's not the business clients, but it's the service providers. So folks like MISO and PSU Business Outreach Program, Hispanic Chamber, Hacienda, ERCO. I can make sure that you guys get some flyers about the program. I could give those to Kim, and maybe she could distribute at the next meeting. But yeah, absolutely. There could be an opportunity for you guys to come and share about the work that you're doing and how it connects to the business business community that they're serving. We do monthly sessions here. Usually they're here in this room, and we've been doing everything from professional development, sharing best practices, to we've been doing a recent dive into some equity training and communication, transformative communication work. So it's been a really great group.
I really appreciate you sharing that information.
Great. Thank you. We will.
Well,
Any questions? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now, I think a wonderful thing for you to just kind of see what we're all about. We're having our graduation June 7th, 6:30. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's dinner, dancing, and graduates.
They're graduating about 40 businesses this year that are graduating from their 3-year program. So it's really going to be a great event. And we do have some free tickets that MISO's given. So if you guys are interested, let Kim know and we'll get you a ticket.
And where will the graduation be?
It's going to be at PSU, the Smith Memorial,
June 7th?
June 7th.
What time?
6:30.
And
Come
then
at
if you-
6, though.
And if you could also follow up by getting that to Kimberly Moreland, that would be fantastic. Any questions from members on the phone? Any question for MISO?
We're at 4008 Northeast MLK Boulevard. We're in the Covenant Church.
Right on the corner.
Yes, right on the corner.
And the
Where the
Shaver and
mural
MLK?
is, the Martin Luther King mural, that little building in there. A lot of good work goes on in there.
Thank you. Any other comment from Oversight Committee members? No one? And no one on the phone? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We are at item number 6, our staff report. Kimberly Moreland.
This is just an opportunity to kind of update you on work that's happening in the Interstate Corridor Urban Renewal Area that falls outside of the 32 million, but has relevance to our work. And one of the projects was the Lombard Investment Strategy. And in March, I presented a board report requesting authorization for intergovernmental agreement between PBOT and Prosper Portland to invest $1 million of infrastructure along Lombard Street. And that was part of a project that, that was vetted by the community maybe 2 years ago in 2015. And the project included $1 million of investment along Lombard. And the document you have before you, I don't know if you have a copy, this shows you the Lombard road, and it's 2 nodes. It's the west node and the east node. And the $1 million of investment will provide pedestrian enhancements, which are highlighted on the second page. And the project schedule is the design work begins this month, and it will be completed in September 2019. And along with that $1 million investment was $500,000 PIP grant, that PIP funding that will support businesses along Lombard. And that PIP grant was designed to help those businesses remain sustainable during the construction period, as well as provide physical improvements for their business. And it was part of a Lombard investment strategy that not only supported physical improvements and design elements along Lombard, but also wanted to provide business development support for those businesses. I had the opportunity to do kind of a meet and greet and talk to some of the business owners And I realize that there is a growing Hispanic community and that could take advantage of those funds. So it aligns with our goals to help people of color. And so we will be having an outreach with implementation, as part of our implementation strategy that will involve materials in different languages, including um, uh, Spanish and Russian and Vietnamese, and because there's a significant population of people of color along that stretch of Lombard. Any questions? Michael?
Oh, thank you. This is just in general. How far out at Lombard are you getting? Are you still in Portland, or are you getting so stretched out in St. John's that you're leaving the community of which I think we're talking about?
Yeah,
I mean, everybody's expanding.
This is within the
yeah,
Oh, it's in there? In
Yes,
the,
this is
oh, okay. Yeah.
existing.
Jennifer, thank
I
you.
just couldn't kind of read the map because it
Thank you.
seems as,
Yeah, it's
More-
pretty far.
But it goes from Chautauqua all the way to Killingsworth. So
but it doesn't exceed to St. John's.
no, I don't think it goes into St. John's.
Well, Lombard Street does.
It doesn't go that far.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Maurice?
What type of procurement model are you guys looking at?
Yeah, great question. We are going to be working with PBOT. They have a procurement process that requires minority participation. And we've written it in the IGA that if our procurement process diversity goal exceeds PBOT, then they must follow our minority participation and procurement process.
And is that both for workforce and contracting and subcontracting?
You know, I believe I need to check into that. And when you say workforce, you mean the subcontractors or?
The workers on the job site, the diversification of the workers that are actually doing the work. So is there a goal that's saying that we're going to have so many minorities participate in the construction of the project, considering there's such a...
Yeah, I'll check into that.
Okay, thank you.
But I believe it does, but I need to confirm that.
Thank you.
Other questions? Any questions from individuals on phone tonight?
Hey, Kim, Dr. Cole, this is
I
Con.
know all the areas.
Con, if you'd make sure that your mouth is close to your phone, it's, for whatever reason, we're getting interruptions. So, and then if you just speak very intentionally and clearly. Thank you, sir.
Kim, in terms of, what about small businesses? Is that a factor hospital is looking at?
Yes, the $500,000 PIP funding is targeting small businesses. And we could talk more, Con, because I know that's part of your the community that you serve, and so I would like to maybe talk to you offline about this. But that's the purpose of the $500,000, and it's a special program designed specifically for those businesses located along that stretch of Lombard.
That sounds great. I look forward to connecting. I'll send you an email.
Okay.
Any other questions on the phone? Jennifer? The blue, so we can hear you, so it can be captured. Thank
Who
you.
is doing the design work?
PBOT.
If you didn't hear the question was, who is doing the design work? The answer is PBOT. Felicia?
500. And I also wanted to add to Jennifer that there will be community outreach for the design work.
Kimberly, could you explain PIP, please?
Yeah. PIP is the Prosperity Investment Program matching grant. And in Northeast, we have a $75,000 match. So for every $1 you put in, we'll put in $3,000 up to $75,000. And so if a project, for instance, is $100,000, then you're responsible for 25, and we will pay 75. But we also offer a matching loan for the 25,000, and we do small and and large. So if it's a project for 10,000, we'll pay 7,500, and you'll pay the 2,500. So it's a very successful program, and recently one of our staff members, Sue Lewis, who's the program manager, providing an update to our board about the program, and you can look at that board report on our website if you want to find out more.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Alicia?
So it just something you said caught my attention. You said in Northeast, it's 75%?
It's 75-25. 75%, 25, and most URAs is 50-50, where you have to bring in a 50% match.
So is interstate considered Northeast even though part of it is in North?
It's northeast, yeah. And it goes all the way to St. John's as well.
Excellent. Any other thoughts from the Oversight Committee? Any other questions?
Did you say it's prosperity investment?
Button.
Could you define that PIP again, prosperity investment what?
It's Prosperity Investment Program, and we call it PIP.
Excellent. Thank you.
I also wanted to just mention that on June 13th, I'll be going to the board to give an update on the Northeast CDI. And I would love to have a few of you provide testimony. And we'll talk more about the board presentation and what our goal is to just inform the commission of where we are in terms of our investment allocations, and also talk about some of the qualitative aspects of and give them a status about the committee, and I did happen to have an opportunity to talk to Kimberly Branham and provide a report for her, and she's very pleased, and I'm also pleased that we are. I know we just passed our project charter, but I think we're a high-functioning team, and I think I'm really excited about working with you, and I'm really hoping that we see some really good outcomes in our second year of implementation. And again, thank you for your service. So.
Thank you for bringing us up to speed. Appreciate it. At this moment, we've moved to item number 7, which is room for public comment. And were we capturing people signing up for public comment? We didn't. It's out there, but okay. So if there are individuals who would like to comment, we're going to give you a moment to do that. And I think what we'll do, since we're kind of ahead of our schedule, is I'm going to give us a 5-minute break for if anyone needs to go and use the restroom and so forth, and then we'll come right back. So 5-minute break while we're getting an opportunity to sign up as well. Stand and stretch and move. For the pause, it's been 5 minutes, and we're going to re-engage, and we have several individuals who've signed up to speak. We are ahead of time, but we're going to stay true to our approach around our public testimony. So you will have 3 minutes to share your thought, and I would ask that you'd be kind enough to, once the alarm goes off, if you then would wrap up your thought, I would appreciate it. That way I don't have to cut your mic off. So you will begin by coming here, and I will take that. And we'll begin with Larry Jackson. Sir, you are first to come to the mic. And I believe they are on already.
Looks like the blue light means it's on?
Yep, the blue light means it's on. And you, sir, have 3 minutes starting now.
My name is Larry Jackson. I'm with the TEC Development Corp., and I have a couple of what I consider housekeeping things to say, and that is I hope that each of you understand your mics are really important to those of us in the audience because your conversation is important to us. You're doing a great job, but when we can only hear part of it, then we have to start gambling about what else you said. So it may seem like just like nominal, but it's really important to us out there because we don't get another chance to communicate with you until after this, basically the meeting is over. Secondly, congratulations on the passing of your charter. That's a big thing. And I was kind of here when you started working on that. So the accomplishment and the passing is great. I was curious as to what you are doing on a regular basis now in terms of outreach to the community to keep them engaged in what I consider very important work, but it becomes one of those things where you can dumb it down when really the only way the community really knows what's going on when they see these little burps about this money that's here and being spent on certain things. And I would encourage any other means by which, other than those lists that you already have where you send them out to people who are engaged already and will be coming to those meetings, about their awareness that we are having those meetings and we are moving forward, and we want the community to be able to say at the end of the run that you knew what we were doing and how we were doing it, and be proud of the work that you're doing as a committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I totally agree that community awareness is essential, that because if they don't know that there's resources that are available and things that they can actually access to better themselves or to be part of the redevelopment, then they're locked out of what they should be able to access.
James Posey, you are next, sir. Thanks for being here tonight. And you, sir, have 3 minutes.
Thank you all
Starting
very,
now.
very much. I'm here because Jeff Strain, who used to be with the NAACP for this Economic Development Committee piece, is not able to be here. So they've kind of re-engaged me to come and kind of share with you guys. And so I was sitting back there looking, and, I had these thoughts that this is pretty powerful group of people sitting here, and for the most part, you all are all of color, and I'm not sure that you really understand the stewardship that you all have for this community with these limited dollars. It's a real concern for me because in talking with Kimberly and everybody associated with this few dollars is that when it's gone, we don't know where else money's going to come from. So the leveraging of these dollars are real critical. And, what really concerns me also, because I think, you all are talking about community involvement, and Kimberly Moreland expressed that they have a plan. It concerns me that you all don't know what that daggum plan is right now. I'm in this community, and it's just frightening for me to know that this money's out here and folk don't know about it. So that, from my standpoint, that should be a very high priority. And there's ways, we live in a technological age, there's ways to really engage people now. I'm saying we ought to use all avenues to let people know about this. When I live right down the street from Dawson Park, and I want to be able to walk through those guys playing dominoes and ask them, do they know about this program? That's a way of testing whether this thing is getting out to people. When I go to the barbershop, I want to be able to ask everybody in that barbershop, do y'all know about this program? So it's crazy that we don't really know about this thing at this particular point in time, and how critical it is to get out and talk to people about getting this done. So that's one. The second item I have to, I'm happy to report that you all passed your charter when I go to the NAACP general meeting, but they're not going to be all excited about that. Well, they passed their charter. Hallelujah. But here's what I'm thinking, guys. You guys got to push Kimberly and Bobby Lee and Toy to get this stuff done. I'm sitting back thinking about the intersection of all the other economic issues that are occurring in this community, i.e. the Broadway corridor, i.e. All the things that's happening around housing. How are we leveraging these dollars? Bobby Lee has on a Facebook page, about this money for small business that the mayor miraculously came up in his budget. I want to know where the intersection is with those dollars and how it interfaces with what you all are doing with this $32 million. I want you all to come back with some numbers so we can see how we maximize and really get these dollars in a way in which they're going to impact our community. You all are the stewards. You all are Black people. You all are Asian people. You all are Hispanic people. They've got this plan, so if it doesn't go well, you all are responsible for it, for the most part. So I want to let you know that there's a real concern out here. I appreciate what you're trying to do, but you got to get it done, folks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you. Maurice, and then, okay. Gwen?
I just want to say thank you so much for your impassioned discussion and comments. I'm new on this board, and so to hear that articulated so clearly has put the pressure on me, and I'm happy to have that pressure and happy to meet that pressure. So I look forward to working with the board in making this gentleman's comments something that is real and achieved.
Maurice.
And I'd like to thank you also, James. And I'd also ask we're all just individuals like yourself. So we're going out to our communities and we're trying to explain what we're doing. And yeah, I would say, and we've mentioned this in this committee before, making sure that we cast a wide net. And so I hope that you could help us in casting that wide net and sharing what we're trying to do here so that we have more people fill this room to actually listen and hear about the issues and to work with us to really maximize these dollars, like you said. Thank you again.
Michael.
Well, I wanted to say thank you also. This is one of the reasons why I stepped down and stopped delivering, because you're going to need people like that type of advice to know what community we're living in. Just like you just said. I live right around the corner. So I can't go past to go to the burn center without asking them guys, how do you know about this stuff? Because I ain't got that much time to educate them. Because it's too many.
Thank you. Any comment from Oversight Committee members on the line, on the phone? Okay. Quentin. Thanks for being here tonight. If you will announce your names and if you represent an organization, and your 3 minutes will begin now.
My name is Quentin. I don't represent a particular organization or anything of that nature, but in the last few days, I have been able to attend a couple of the meetings and with the subcommittee, and just have been looking at the different plans in the implementation of the Northeast Community Development Initiative. And the more that I looked into it, the more that I found that it doesn't really address the need that it was intended to address. I mean, I was looking at this chart in the back, and I was looking at the fact that, there's a huge downward disparity when it comes to, African Americans. You have negative 31.3 income. And, in other groups, they are increasing in terms of income and different things like that. And then, when you also look at wealth, like the middle Black family nationally is only worth $1,700. So as opposed to the median white family household that's worth $141,000. And so, you have these different things that have happened historically in Oregon in terms of dating back to, the Oregon Land Donation Act, which is basically where they paid people to settle in Oregon, and it was the forerunner to the Homestead Act, which paid people to move westward. And then, you have the fact that Oregon was the only state to be admitted to the Union as an all-white state. And Vanport floods, where they failed to warn the people who lived in that city that the city was going to flood. So it's kind of like, those were very specific things that were done to people who descend from North American chattel slaves. And I feel like when you guys use language like very broad-based terms like people of color and communities of color and things like that, it fails to address redress what has historically been done to a very specific group of people. Even when you look at nationally, like African Americans are the only group whose income hasn't grown since 2000. They're worse off than they were in 2000. And I think you guys miss a lot when the allocation of these grants and different things like that, it goes to people who in this report here that live in the area are doing a lot better than, African Americans as a group. So it's kind of like it goes back to the national kind of issue of the erasure of African American history and African Americans in general. So for me, it doesn't really do what it's supposed to do. It simply allows people to come in and eat the pie that my ancestors baked. So yeah, it doesn't address what needs to be addressed. And I feel like it should be lineage-based. People who come from that lineage should get those funds.
Thank you, Quentin. Comments at all from the Oversight Committee?
Thank you so much for your comments and for that discussion. I personally would also like to learn a bit more about the investments and specifically who these dollars are going to. And moreover, I think that it will feed our collective consciousness as we're continuing to make decisions, having that solid base of information. So with that, I'm encouraged for us to look into that deeper.
Thank you very much. James, face on. State your name, sir, and you will have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is James Faison. My company called Faison Construction. I've been in business for 17 years. And I had a couple of questions. One was how the funds is going to be allocated for the smaller contractors, because sometimes the money is targeted for certain people. Sometimes we're getting in the trend of targeting funds for certain people. I was thinking about, there could be an incubator that people can have ownership with, where the building can be bought or the land can be bought, and it could be just a pass-through for beginning contractors, young contractors that's trying to get their foot in the door, trying to get started. Even middle-sized contractors, but it'd be a stepping stone for them to move on to something bigger and better, something to help them. And in this incubator, you could have all kinds of bookkeeping organizations. You could have engineers, all kinds of people to work with as a unit of minority contractors together in one big incubator. So, I'm wondering how can money like this be put towards something in that manner? There's a lot of good young contractors that's struggling to find just to pay the rent, and if this is something that they can get a room where they own and they could sell it and move on, and then the next young contractor come in, then it'll help everybody along the way. I just would like to see something that's big enough, a big building that could be broken up into sections, and not something that's given, where you're given something. They work for it, they pay for it, they pay a monthly bill every month, and they can have something of pride. So how we're using the funds, I think, are very important. And I'm proud of what you guys are doing here. I believe that this is a new day. I see the way that the committees are formed. I'm on a committee. I see that the way that the mayor is behind these committees and pushing these committees. I'm pretty pumped on it. I see that now we're taking control. They're not telling you what to do. You're saying what you need to do. So thank you for that.
Any response from committee? Maurice?
I just had a question for you, James. Are you referring to like, as when you talk about an incubator, are you referring like a land trust where it is owned and passed on to other smaller businesses as they grow out of it? Did I hear you correctly in that, or are you talking about something else? Because I know that they have land trusts for like housing and stuff like that, so I wasn't sure if that was the direction in which you were going.
No, I'm speaking of just where someone could come in and it could be a trust, a land trust type, where they can move on to when they move on to something bigger and better, then they could sell that to someone else. And that it could keep rolling, getting bigger and bigger and bigger until they can move to a bigger building and grow this land trust.
Thank you for that clarification.
Any other comments from seated committee members? Any comment from the phone line?
Dr. Ho, this is Con Lee.
Hi, Con. Go ahead.
James, this comment for James, I do appreciate that comment. I think it's an opportunity when you made that comment in terms of incubator. It reminds me a way an opportunity to help minority businesses, contractors build wealth and build assets and grow their businesses. So I think that's a great suggestion. So I appreciate your comment.
Thank you, Con. Well, we've come then to the end of our time tonight. And I think before we do, it would be appropriate for us, Madam Chair, you're here, Haben, you're on the phone. If anyone wanted to say anything to Michael as a member who's given his time and energy and has resigned tonight, I think it would be appropriate to give a moment for that. So, Haben, are you there? Okay, we've lost Haben.
So Michael, I think I just would speak for everyone here around the table and on the phone and saying that we appreciate your dedication. I appreciate your words of encouragement and support being the co-chair. And you have offered a great insight for us that a lot of us may not recognize. So your voice has been heard and we appreciate the time that you've given. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay. We are scheduled to meet on the third Thursday of June, and I believe we'll be at our normal site. Is that correct? Billy Webb's Lodge.
I just want to make a quick, I've asked for this a couple times and we still don't have it. So maybe if you can take a minute now before you leave, if you have any suggestions on what would have made this meeting better, what you would like to see at the next meeting, any thoughts you want to jot down so that we can take it back to our planning meeting where we plan the agenda for these meetings. If you could just do that on a scratch piece of paper tonight, and then hopefully we can have it on a printed piece of paper for you to fill out for the next meeting. Because I think it's important we can get into a tunnel vision with just myself and Haben and Kimberly where we're not hearing your voices on what you want to see on the agenda. So if you, before you leave, could just take a piece of paper, if you have something, you can email it later as well. Those on the phone can email it later as well. But tonight, before you leave, while it's fresh on your mind, if there's something in particular you want to see on the next agenda or improvements on how we can better run these meetings to suit your needs, I would appreciate that. Actually, I want it right now. If you could do it right now, that would be great.
Yeah, for those who are present or willing to and can take a few moments to do that.
Yes.
For those who are on the line, if you take a few moments, send an email. That'd be fantastic. That'd be excellent. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. We appreciate your time and your energy and your investment. I think there's some more food left, so make sure you grab some of that and have an incredible Thursday night. Good night, everybody.
Right.